Hi, I'm Marty Levinson. Welcome to the Northtown News Magazine.
Sure. Can we grab you? Sure. Oh, terrific. Yeah. 8 years. I want to, right? Yeah, I want you. Oh, thank you. Yes, I do. Oh, no. You should say that on the air. I will.
Hi, I'm Marty Levinson. Welcome to the Northtown News Magazine show with the greatest cameraman around, Sonny Hirsch, and your host, Avi Myers.
Thank you, Marty. Avi Myers, Northtown Neighborhood News Magazine. Presentation of Sonny Hirsch and myself. Dial us up on the World Wide Web at www.ntnm.org, where you can see all the shows that are coming up. Very important, caps24.org. Sonny Hirsch in his spare time is the chairman of the District Advisory Committee of the 24th District. We're very big on community policing, so go to the meetings in your neighborhood and, go see the police in person. Caps may be smaller, but it still kicks, and, your message is going to get through to the police, and that will be a definite aid in making this neighborhood a cleaner, safer place. So on top of that, I want to let everybody know right now it's 11 to 12 days before the election, depending on what day you're seeing this. And we want to urge all of you to vote. Of course, the race I've covered the most in Jewish Chicago is out on the street, and there are endorsements in some of the races. In the 50th Ward race, which is our home base, which is what I concentrated on the most for the Aldermanic, each of the 5 candidates was each invited twice to do a half a show. Greg Brewer wrote back that he did not want to come on the show, and the second invitation he ignored. Excuse me. Michael Moses was invited twice and chose not to communicate whatsoever. Ahmed Khan actually was here twice, and he's a very nice guy. Deborah Silverstein was invited twice, and she did show up once, and I tried to make special arrangements to get her on a second time, but when I tried making the special arrangements, I didn't get any feedback. She said it was a busy week initially, and I tried to make adjustments to get her on and do an extra filming session, but she didn't. Another person who showed up twice was Alderman Berny Stone. So at this point, everybody had a fair chance for equal time, half a show each, and now it's actually time to make some decisions on the process. So, first I'd like to introduce you to the Vice Mayor of the City of Chicago, the Chairman of the Buildings Committee, as well as the Alderman of the 50th Ward, Berny Stone.
Hi, Avi. How are you?
Very good, and it's a pleasure to have you. And I would like to announce at this point that not just me personally, but Jewish Chicago has decided to throw our endorsement to Greg, no, just kidding, to Alderman Berny Stone.
Thank you very much, Avi.
Thank you, and it's not even a close business. It's by a mile. The accomplishments, age can be a real big advantage. If you talk to people in the reporting community, which I do and am a member of, even if they don't agree with Bernie on certain policies and all that, the fact of the matter is everybody respects him for his knowledge and the fact that he's a square shooter. And as I've said, and as I've been quoted by more than one reporter in the past, one of the main things I've always liked about Berny Stone is you never have to worry about the knife in the back. You'll see the punch to the face coming. You always know where you're going to stand. I mean, his record of accomplishment over the last 4 years in this ward has been absolutely stupendous, especially considering the downturn in the economy. And the other 4 mostly, of the other 4, actually I probably like Ahmed Khan the most, but he's young, he still has to learn. The other 3, at best, are wannabes.
Well, thank you. Avi, I want to thank you, by the way, for being speaking of Caps, being at the roll call that we held a couple weeks ago in the 24th District out at Warren Park. It was important to show our support of the 24th District, so I want to thank you for being there for the roll call.
Oh, it's my pleasure. As a matter of fact, we made special arrangements to move our meeting
I know.
to Warren Park so we could participate. And it's so important to recognize that the police are trying to do a good job. They might be a little short-handed, but they're still very, very effective, and it's a great thing to get involved in. If you show the bad guys in the community that you support the police, and that we're going to stand together and stand against them, they're not going to really be as interested as they might to hang around here.
Well, one of the things that has bothered me throughout the campaign is people keep talking how bad crime is and so forth. Crime is actually down, at least violent crime is down. The only two listed crimes that are up are auto theft and burglary. Now, we know that. The officers of the 24th know it. They're trying their best to combat it. But these are two crimes that normally in bad economic times are normally rise in bad economic times. We're doing our best to combat it. And the men of the 24th, men and women of the 24th deserve really a pat on the back for doing their best to try and combat it. It really irks me when people say, oh, they're never around when you need them. They're there. They're there. And they're doing a great job. And people should encourage the men and women of the 24th because they're really doing a great job.
They really are. And it's important to point out that not just each of the last 4 years has crime in West Rogers Park and the 50th Ward been down, but it's even longer than 4 years in a row. It's been quite a number of years. And I know from dealing with all the different police commanders, because in my spare time, I'm the beat facilitator of 2412. The commanders have always appreciated. I know you're in touch with them.
Yeah, I'm also in touch with 17 because of Peterson Park. Peterson Park is in the 17th district. We have a great commander in the 17th too, and he's doing a great job in 17. And the men of the 17th are great guys too. We had a major prostitution problem along Lincoln Avenue for many years, and I think and I hope that we've cleaned that up greatly.
Yeah, I hope so. I don't have a car anymore, but yeah, I remember driving down Lincoln and being at a stoplight where I'd hear somebody dressed up with cleavage going, "Hey, buddy, want a date?"
Yes, unfortunately, some of them did talk with a deep voice like that too.
Yeah, basically, I learned how to roll up my car windows. But no, the fact of the matter is, I know you've always been in touch, and it's an important thing. I mean, it's so easy for somebody to pick out, like one of the candidates likes to talk about how even one crime is too many crimes, and here's a list of all the crimes. You have an area and first of all, in her list, the 24th district doesn't just have West Rogers Park, it also has Rogers Park,
yes,
which is a different neighborhood, and they have certain areas of Rogers Park that unfortunately have more crime problems. Actually, all the areas in Rogers Park have more crime problems than in West Rogers Park.
She's absolutely right. One crime is one crime too many. But look, we're in a major urban area, and crime is going to exist, and particularly in bad economic times. There are people who can't resist the easy money, and they view this as easy money. There are people who have a tendency towards violence, and these are things that the society has to deal with. But we try our best, and certainly I have a great appreciation for the men in blue and our fire department. I think we have two of the greatest departments, both in our police and fire department, and I think that people should appreciate the work that they do. Yesterday, I had a committee meeting of my building committee, and one of the things we were discussing, unfortunately, was abandoned buildings, and we were discussing that horrendous fire on the south side where two firemen lost their lives, and we were addressing the fact that some landlords leave their buildings go and leave a hazardous condition, and we changed the penalties where a landlord knows he's leaving a hazardous condition, and where a landlord knows that condition could result in actual a serious injury or death, then we have changed the law, so not only can he be fined, but he can also be incarcerated. And so I think that's a good law. Alderman Balser and others introduced that, and we passed it in committee, and it's going to go I hope it's going to be passed by the full council.
You know, speaking of bad buildings, I happened to notice, I was looking through everybody's D2s, which are the financial statements that you have to file, and it's always very interesting to see who gives money to a person, because that'll tell you, even if they're not talking about a subject,
yes,
who really supports somebody and who doesn't. And one thing I saw that really I was not happy about was I saw a 4-figure contribution from the main principal in Talmud Realty, who's had more bad buildings in this neighborhood, has been hauled into housing court. His managers have been forced to attend CAPS meetings and see what they've been doing to people and all the rest of it. And interestingly enough, her husband, the state senator, used to legally represent them until basically I said, how can you represent a slumlord when you're the state senator in this area?
Is that in my ward?
Some of that stuff is in your ward.
Well, I'm sorry. And my opponent has been taking money from this. We're
talking a 4-figure contribution.
I'm sorry to see that, and I'm sorry to see that she's accepting their money. I certainly wouldn't accept money from that individual.
Well, he was also defending the guy for cases in this ward. When he got hauled off to building court, the senator, her husband, was defending this guy.
Well, I find that deplorable.
And basically, I did get him to stop, but, still, anyway, but no, buildings are so important, and you know what, that's another thing, too. I'd really like to see the CAPS program rebuilt a little bit, and I guess that's going to depend in large part on who the next mayor is going to be, but we're here to talk about the alderman's race and not speculate about the mayor's race. I'm not even, you can read Jewish Chicago for more detail on that from my standpoint. And it's available free all over the place. And you can go to the web, www.aviworld.com, another website that Sonny runs. By the way, in his spare time, Sonny also built me as Dr. Frankenstein in his other identity. So,
well, that means you created the monster?
He helped. He definitely helped.
Sonny helped create the monster.
But anybody, just as Officer Garrido and noted earlier today when we started talking politics, he says, "You guys are disagreeing. We disagree about a lot of things. Sonny's very much got his own mind, and we don't always agree about policy. And it's not fair for anybody to go pick at Sonny because of stances I might take, where he might take me to task after the show and tell me he totally disagrees with me and might question my sanity, which probably makes him more intelligent than most people think." But in any event, you know what? Let's talk about your accomplishments.
Well, the thing I'm most proud of during this last 4 years is the program we started with with what we call the piggyback lighting, because we do admit that crime is a major item that we have to fight. So, and we know that light is a crime deterrent. So what we've been doing is we started at the far southwest end of the ward, and we're moving east, and mostly in Sonny's beat, 2413, but part of it was in 2412 also, your beat.
Right.
And we've been moving eastward, and we've been putting on the piggyback lights. Now, we have a lot of trees in our area, and those overhead lights, the street lights, because of the forestation, don't shine through those trees. So by putting in the piggyback lights, we got a lot of light at a lower level, so we're lighting up the streets pretty good with those piggyback lights.
And one thing the police have noted, by the way, is that those piggyback lights, the better lit an area is, the less likely somebody is going to want to commit a crime on the street.
And at this point, and it costs us $62,500 per block. At this point, we've either already installed or are in the process of installing the lights from the far west end of the ward, and by the time my menu from 2010 is complete, we'll have proceeded as far east as Claremont. And then on the 2011 program, will be going from Claremont probably to the far east end of the ward. So then we'll come back going from east to west, and we have already gone as far north as Pratt in most of the ward, and we'll probably go up to Lunt going back west. As I say, it costs $62,500 per block. So it would a menu, the annual menu, I don't know what's going to be under the new mayor, but the annual menu is $1,320,000. So obviously, I've been spending about $1 million a year from the menu. The balance I spend on paving and repairing alleys. I still have other parts of my 2010 menu that have not been completed as yet. Also, they're a little behind because obviously we're a little short-handed because of the economic situation.
Yeah, it's been tough all over the place. I know a lot of people have talked about potholes, but the fact is that, well, tell us about it, because people are...
I'm not going to say to you that there aren't potholes. There are potholes all over the ward. I mean, I've been criticized by my opponents because of potholes, and they're absolutely right. I'm not going to say they're wrong. They're right. There are potholes. And the fact is, as many potholes as Department of Streets and Sand and CDOT say that they're repairing, CDOT is being Chicago Department of Transportation. As many potholes as they say they're repairing, there's a multitude of potholes all over the city, and there's a multitude of potholes that haven't been repaired. I met, as a matter of fact...
I think it's important to point out that these people would have less ability to get them fixed than you do.
I met, of course, they don't know that. I met last week with the commissioners of both the Department of Transportation and Department of Department of Transportation, Bureau of Electricity, and I also met with the Department of Water Maintenance, which handles sunken sewers, and because we have a problem there too. And the reason I met with them is because we're far behind on repairs on these, and I gave them a list of the in particular the ones that they're extremely far behind. It was interesting when I met with with CDOT that many of the sewers that the potholes that I gave them, they show as already having been repaired, and it's just not true. And he had the list of what he shows is open. I had the list of ones that we show is open, and we know because we go out there on almost on a weekly basis and recheck that which is repaired, and he shows them as being repaired, and we say no, they're not repaired. So he wants to know why is this his list showing them as repaired. Well, in any event, we met with him. I met with the Water Maintenance, and they're checking out the sunken sewers. I met with Bureau of Electricity. There are lights that have been out for weeks and that haven't been replaced. They're all short workers, and that's one of the reasons that the work hasn't been done.
Yeah, it's hard to do it when the money isn't coming in, and not just this city, but every other city just about in the country has serious financial problems.
Well, yes, we do have serious financial problems, but the fact is Chicago is probably better off than most other major cities. And people, we're portrayed as in poor financial condition, but the fact is that we have almost $600 million in reserve, and that's not bad.
No, that's a very good thing to have. It definitely helps a lot.
But one of the things that I've been complaining about, and nobody even pays any attention to, is the fact that every major corporation takes a profit and loss statement at least once a month. I've been a member of the city council for over 37 years. I have never seen a profit and loss statement. Why haven't I seen a profit and loss statement? Because the city of Chicago, does not have an inventory of their assets. You cannot prepare a profit and loss statement unless you have a list of your assets. And this city of Chicago does not have an inventory of their assets.
That's interesting. One of the points you brought up in the past is the city has a number of assets, both in art and in land sitting idle.
And it just sits there and nobody inventories it. Now, I'm going to give you an exclusive, Avi.
Great, thank you.
I have prepared an ordinance, which I haven't introduced yet, in which I'm going to create a new office. And really, it's not going to cost us any more than it's not going to cost us any more money, because we have people set up in certain departments in the executive branch of government. I'm just going to shift them from under the control of the mayor. I'm going to shift them to the treasurer's office.
Ah.
I'm going to make the city treasurer in charge of an auditor general, who I'm going to ask to inventory all the city's assets, and prepare immediately a profit and loss statement. Deliver a copy of the profit and loss statement to the chief executive and to chairman of finance, who in turn will deliver it to each and every alderman. What does a profit and loss statement do? It inventories all your assets, deducts your liabilities, and ends up with what the final result is, the net worth of the city. Now, certainly, people in this city should know what the city's worth.
Yeah, you would think.
If we're going to be rated by our bond agencies and rated by other people, we should know what our net worth is.
No, it makes a lot of sense.
So once they do it the first time, then I ask that on a quarterly basis they prepare a profit and loss statement. That's logical. It's what businesses do. And you know, when you have a budget of over $6 billion, we're certainly entitled to have a profit and loss statement. That's a logical thing to do. We're a major business, a $6 billion corporation's entitled to have a profit and loss statement. And that's one of the things I'm going to be introducing very shortly. Remember, regardless win or lose, the aldermen serve. Current aldermen serve till May 15th. So prior to May 15th, I will introduce an ordinance to create a auditor general as part of the treasurer's office, which is the proper place really that the auditor general should be. Currently, those people who should be in charge of inventory are in general services, and quite frankly, when at budget hearings, when we prepare our budget, I've asked the budget chairman, I've asked the chief financial officer, we've asked the controller, and they all look at me, well, our profit and loss statement is our budget. No, it isn't. All you're doing is you present a balanced budget which says how much money we're taking in and how much money we're spending. That's not a profit and loss statement. And when you ask for an inventory, how much land do we have? How much is it worth? Nobody knows. Art, they haven't got the least idea of what we have in art.
Some of this stuff is really valuable.
Extremely. Some of it is beyond value. You know, art, sometimes unless you have an appraiser, you have no idea what the art is worth. The things that this city owns is unbelievable, and that's some of the things that I've suggested to raise funds for the city. It depends on the total assets of the city, and there's no inventory of our assets. How can you raise money if you don't know what you own?
I would think that also would help the bond rating and all that if there was some understanding.
It would be a good idea anyway.
Yeah, no, definitely. Sounds that way. So I guess we've got about 4.5 minutes to go here.
Well, the fact is that we're very proud of the fact that we finally got a school to relieve the overcrowding at Boone and Clinton. It was horrible that kids had to go to school and go to class on the stage of the auditorium, in the lunchroom, in the gym, in the halls. So finally, we have a new Westridge School, which is a gorgeous school. All the people who are so concerned about The fact that it was going to bring in heavy traffic, all for naught. By right about now, they'll be opening the new drive-through that will bring in the traffic off of Kedzie, and the neighborhood streets are not going to be congested as they worried. The school is a beautiful school, and I'm very proud of the new Westridge School. That again is a great new addition to our community.
I want to point out too that it's also improved traffic tremendously around Boone School and around Clinton, that were severely overcrowded.
Well, now we're hoping that once we determine where the overcrowding is, we can even adjust the district line so that we can even adjust them, relieve even the overcrowding even more.
And the new school also is only taking kids from the immediate area, no busing. And as badly as a school was needed, and as much as somebody likes to talk about as much as her husband likes to talk about his interest in education, anybody who doesn't understand that he was working so hard against that school being, coming into existence, is got a blind eye to the situation.
Well, we're very proud of the fact that school is there. In addition to which, we've had major construction going on even during these very poor economic times. We've been told how bad we've been blamed for the poor economic situation. Well, I'm not the President of the United States, nor am I the head of the United Nations, because the economic times are bad all over the world, not only in the United States, but all over the world. Good businesses are doing good business. Bad businesses fail. And stores open and stores close. I cannot assume the problem of businesses that don't succeed, because I got to tell you that if businesses that are good businesses are successful. To blame it all on the meters, I'm not proud of the fact that I voted for the meter deal. I make mistakes. I'm the first one to admit if I make a mistake, and I make mistakes. I'm a human being. Based on the facts that I was given, I voted for the meter deal. I apologize. I made a mistake. But I make mistakes. I'm a human being. We were rushed into a deal based on the facts that they gave us. I made a mistake. But in the meantime, the fact is the meters are not what's causing businesses to close. What's causing businesses to close is, unfortunately, the economic conditions that we're faced with right now. That plus the fact that the business is off. Major corporations are failing during this current business cycle.
And there's a lot more vacancies in many other neighborhoods than this. 45th Ward people were here. They've got a 40% vacancy rate there. And it's a nicer neighborhood. We're running out of time. So what I want to do is I want to make sure everybody knows that myself personally, as well as Jewish Chicago, strongly are telling you that the only person running who can really do a terrific job is Alderman Berny Stone. And he is far and away the choice on Election Day. And he has, as bad as things are economically, there are so many good things that have been happening. There's so many new, besides the new schools, supermarket, the whole shot. This is a better, this place could have been much worse. He's done a really great job, and we strongly endorse Alderman Berny Stone.
Let me just reiterate also that I pledged there will be no increase in real estate taxes as long as I am in the city council. I will vote against any attempt to raise our real estate taxes.
That sounds great. Thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you.
We urge you to vote for Berny Stone, and watch us live on Sunday, February 13th. Bye-bye.
Bye.